I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to talk about the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not going to do it. This is the first time I've been on any type of camera, podcast, microphone since the loss. I'm here for good vibes only, and that comes by way of the 2024 rookie draft class. And the reason why y'all are tapped into this show, because I'm about to go through a 2024 rookie mock draft for you. Superflex format. Not only are we going through the first round, I'm giving you two. We're going through 2 rounds, so we're talking through 24 players. And at the end of this exercise, you're going to see that despite the fact that the 2024 running back class is down, there's a lot of talent in this class, a lot of players that we're not going to select that you will be very excited to grab in the 3rd round of your rookie draft. So I'm glad you tapped in. If you're new to the channel, you stick around to the end. I promise you, you'll have some fun. And if you find the stuff actionable, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, like the content. But let's get into the show, baby. Let's go.
Okay, let's get it. Bitch, let's get it. Woo!
One more time, appreciate you being in the building. And if you stick around to the end, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, like, all that good stuff. Let's dive right into it. 2024 rookie mock draft going through 2 rounds, Superflex format, 1.5 tight end premium just to make it a little spicy so we can talk about a couple of guys. But neither here nor there. Let's get into it. Got a lot to talk about, not a lot of time to do it, baby. 101. What we doing? I think everybody, for the most part, like, I get it. There's going to be some narratives about Caleb Williams and people going to his birthday party and shit like that. I'm not worried about any of that. When it's all said and done in Superflex format, I can make the argument for Marvin Harrison Jr., but for me, the selection is Caleb Williams, USC, sign me and everybody else up. Think he's a stud quarterback in the making. He's going to have the capital to have the leeway to succeed, even if things are a little bit rocky at first. So Caleb Williams, 101, shouldn't come as much of a surprise. I think what's going to happen is people are going to have a decision to make. If the landing spot is juicy enough, I do think there's a world in which one of the quarterbacks comes off the board at the 102 spot. But after Caleb Williams, he's already being valued, top 7, top 8 Dynasty quarterback. I think the next most secure, sure thing from a value perspective and probably a production standpoint is Marvin Harrison Jr. So he comes off the board at 102. Let's make sure we get Marv. There we go. Marvin Harrison Jr. off the board at 102. And again, depending on the landing spot of one quarterback in particular, Jayden Daniels, I think you could make the case for him going 102, but without that, all those stars aligning and what's probably going to happen, I think Marvin Harrison comes off the board as 102. People are going to value him highly. He's probably going to be pretty damn good. So when you're talking about a liquid, fluid asset that's valued already at its top, yeah, I mean, you're buying freaking gold with Marvin Harrison Jr. So he's off the board at 102. And I think at 103, I think this is where for most people who have been doing this for a while, you're used to hearing a certain name right here. But I'm going to go against that a little bit. I think Jayden Daniels, the capital that he's going to receive, the talent that he brings to the table, the landing spot could be just as good or as bad as any of these 3 quarterbacks. Right now, for me, he is my QB2 in the 2024 class. All 3 of the guys at the top are incredible. Just give me any of the 3. But right now, if I had to pick for what we do, fantasy football, I'm taking Jayden Daniels over Drake Maye. Jayden Daniels comes off the board at 103, but we're not getting crazy here. Drake Maye, right off. So it's literally personal preference. You think Maye's better than Daniels, flip-flopping, whatever the case may be. But I'm not taking any other receiver. We're not talking about no damn running back. And outside of Start 2 or 2.0 tight end premium, I'm not even talking about tight end at this spot. So at 105, lucky for you, you're allowed to get this incredible player, Malik Nabers. Right, in my opinion, the wide receiver 1B. He's not. I don't even call him wide receiver 2 in this class. Wide receiver 1B to Marvin Harrison Jr.'s 1A. Nabers is incredible. Nabers is absolutely incredible. Does everything. Highest graded wide receiver according to PFF. Past couple of years, highest grade since, I believe, Devontae Smith's 2021 Heisman Trophy winning season. So Nabers off the board, 105. Shouldn't be a shock to anybody. Now we get to the 106 spot. And I think just as high as people have Nabers and Marvin Harrison Jr., Rome Odunze, declared of the draft, he's just as equally as high on people's boards. He is my wide receiver 1C. I have no wide receiver 2 in the class. It's going to go 1 and then 3. That's just how it's going to go because Nabers and Odunze and Marvin Harrison Jr. profile is 3 wide receivers who should come into an NFL offense and immediately be in a position to earn targets from day one. These are all 3 alpha level quality wide receivers They're all 6 foot and above, 200 pounds. These are just three incredible wide receiver prospects. So Odunze off the board at 106. Like, I'm happy as hell to get him off the board at 106. Now we're at 107. And I think Michael Penix Jr. definitely hurt his draft stock with his performance versus Michigan. I don't think we're even talking about him right now inside the top 10 of a rookie mock for most. Some people still have him. I saw Dallas Cowboys fans on Twitter saying trade Dak and draft Penix, but neither here nor there. At the 107 spot in the 1.5 tight end premium, I think this is where people would start to consider the name Brock Bowers, especially with the success of some of the rookie tight ends that we've seen in the NFL. Today, Sam Laporta scoring a touchdown today. Brock Bowers off the board in tight end premium leagues at 107. Now you're at the 108 spot. Quarterback J.J. McCarthy declared for the draft. We know Penix is there. This is still a very deep and talented wide receiver pool. Not at running back land yet, but I just asked the question, if J.J. McCarthy is a back-end quarterback first-round pick, like goes in the 30s, team trades up to get the fifth-year option, McCarthy goes at the back of the first or the top of the second, are you taking him in the first round of rookie drafts? For me, I don't think I would want to do it still. I'm not there with J.J. McCarthy right now at this stage of the process. It doesn't seem like one of those situations where I really want to wait for that. Feels like little Will Levis-esque to me, and Will Levis went at the top of the second, so I'm going to pass on McCarthy and Penix here at the 108 spot. Draft another skill position player that I think is going to get the requisite capital to matter. We're going Xavier Worthy from Texas, speedster, early declare, junior. He's a big play, game-changing threat. I think he's right there on the borderline of getting that first-round draft capital, early second-round draft capital for X Worthy. There are so many wide receivers in this class. I kind of want to stay and live in that range for a little bit longer. Adonai Mitchell, his teammate, but I think what off of the board, feels a little more sure thing of a first-round pick than X Worthy, is Brian Thomas Jr. out of LSU. Off the board at 109. I personally have Brian Thomas rated a little bit higher than Xavier Worthy, but thinking about the Dynasty community and where people are valuing players right now, I think for a lot, Xavier Worthy has more of that name cachet than BTJ, but when people start to dig into the profile, see that this guy was recruited, he was a higher rated recruit than even Malik Nabers coming out of high school. He got on the field as an early producer as a freshman. He's, I think, second or third on LSU's all-time touchdown scoring list. Brian Thomas Jr. is a stud. He's awesome. I have him as my fourth overall wide receiver. He's coming off the board in this range, 108, 109. Brian Thomas Jr. now at the 110 spot. I think this is where J.J. McCarthy or Michael Penix comes off the board. You got to respect the capital, right? If this is the assumption, he gets drafted in the first round, J.J. McCarthy off of the board at the 110 spot. If he's not drafted in the first round, we'll have a completely different conversation. This is just strictly the assumption that he's a first-round pick, Superflex format. Somebody's going to take a shot on J.J. McCarthy. He lands in a good spot like Minnesota. He lands in a spot, where you can reasonably see there's some opportunity where he might get on the field. 110, 111, 112 range for J.J. McCarthy. Still got some more talented skill position players on the board. We talked about Brian Thomas and Rome Odunze. All these other receivers, man. Adonai Mitchell still on the board. You got Troy Franklin still on the board. But I do believe when it's all said and done, the player who's going to get the capital, even though the fantasy community is souring for whatever reason, but Keon Coleman out of Florida State, I do believe he's going to get the requisite capital to have to matter in this type of situation. So in this back half of the first round, I think Keon Coleman comes off of the board. And then at the 112 spot, we'll just go with some speed. You're going to probably see him run very fast at the combine, and the same reasons you would draft Xavier Worthy. I think in a complementary role, not as a true number one, Troy Franklin out of Texas sort of fits that mold. So there it is. There's the first round. You got Caleb Williams, Marvin Harrison, Jayden Daniels, Drake Maye, Rome Odunze, Brock Bowers, Xavier Worthy, Brian Thomas Jr., J.J. McCarthy, Keon Coleman, Troy Franklin. Those are picks 1 through 12. I think the 107, about 101 to 107 feels pretty solid to me, especially in a tight end premium format. It seems pretty solid, like it's not going to change. It's that 8 through 12 spot. Is Coleman there? Brian Thomas? Do you have Michael Penix Jr. in there? How I think the fantasy community is going to react is at the 201 spot, I think people will rush to get Michael Penix. They'll say, oh, man, what a steal. All right, I got Caleb at 1. It's super flex. Michael Penix fell. Boom, he's mine right there at the 201 spot. I'm not saying that's what you should or should not do, but I'm not going to let one bad game and one not Michael Penix, sort of what we've been accustomed to game, take away everything he's done for his entire career. He's had 2 phenomenal seasons at Washington. I want to give him credit for that, but definitely think he took a little bit of a draft hit stock on to his draft hit from that game versus Texas. Versus Texas, versus Michigan in the national championship. So Michael Penix off of the board at 201 in the second round. He's going to be a second-round pick. I think at this point in time, Adonai Mitchell out of Texas, I'm a little higher on him than most. He comes off the board in the second round. The second round is just still loaded with wide receiver talent, but right around at 203, 204 spot, I think people start to think about the running backs that are on the board. You've got Blake Corum. You have Bucky Irving. You have Donovan Edwards. We've got Trey Benson in this class. Bucky Irving, who we'll talk about in a little bit. But we're going to live in wide receiver land just a little bit longer. Can't wait to see this young man at the Senior Bowl here shortly. Xavier Legette out of South Carolina, 6'2", 6'3", 225-pound wide receiver. The tape is phenomenal, explosive, power slot type wide receiver. He's going to be able to make a lot of money here at the Senior Bowl. So Xavier Legette, going to be one of those players, another receiver you can take a shot on in the second round of your rookie drafts. Tight end premium, right? A lot of people may not know the name yet, but I do believe Ja'Tavion Sanders out of the University of Texas is going to get the requisite capital, and I'm not even going to be shocked if he's a first-round pick. Won't be shocked if he is a first-rounder. I know a lot of people may not know, but he is a complete 3-down Sam Laporta level tight end. He can block. He is phenomenal in the running game. You can run him down the seams, routes. I've seen him take over as the primary target. And Ja'Tavion Sanders is a stud. So if you're talking tight end premium, do you have to spend the top 7, top 6 pick on Bowers, or you can get JT Sanders in the middle of the second round? I think you'll be just fine with JT Sanders. He is going to be a very good player in the NFL. Mark my words on that one. He's going to be a nice second round pick value in tight end premium leagues. Now, you're getting into running back territory, and I'm just going to go out and say this, that for me, Blake Corum is currently my running back 1. With Travion Henderson going back to school, Blake Corum is my running back 1 in this class. I wanted to love Trey Benson. I've been pumping up Trey Benson since he was at Oregon. People don't even know he's at Oregon and transfers to Florida State. Just not the type of season that I was expecting, and that was a good team. So I don't want to hear that the team was bad or it underperformed. It was top 5 team in the country damn near the entire season. I know Blake Corum, what his limitations are. He's not going to be as explosive, as fast straight line at the combine on the track as some of these kids, but I've seen him play. I love the tape. I've already looked at Blake Corum's probably going to be my running back 1. Now, if he gets drafted and the undrafted, then we got to adjust. But right now, going in the process, I'm not just saying a name because everybody else says it with Trey Benson. For me, it's Blake Corum going into this process in my RB1, and I'd be fine taking him in the middle of the second round here in a rookie draft. Still got a bunch of receivers left to talk about. Let's just look at a few on the board. You've got Brendan Rice out of USC, Tez Walker. We'll talk about him shortly. Ladd McConkey, Malachi Corley. We'll talk about both of those guys. But I think what would happen at this point with one of the running backs off of the board, you will get a little bit of a panic run. So then here you go. You can say Trey Benson with requisite capital. His athleticism comes off of the board right after Corum. And I'm going to go one more running back because I want to talk about him. I want to lump him in with these other 2 because I think he is just as talented. Reminds me of a mini level of Jahmyr Gibbs, maybe not as explosive, but Marquise Bucky Irving, give me all the Bucky Irving I can get. This is a player that I'm going to have a lot of exposure to come rookie draft season. He can catch the ball. He's a dynamic pass catcher, and he can handle some rush attempts out of the backfield. Really, really like Bucky Irving. So he comes off the board there. 208 spot. Again, wide receivers galore in this class. You've got Ladd McConkey out of Georgia. This young man is nice. Ladd McConkey can play. He's probably going to be locked into that second round capital. It's going to be about the landing spot. Where does he land? We're still talking Superflex, right? And while he may not be a first round pick, nobody may not like him, but Bo Nix some point, Bo Nix has got to come off of the board. I'm seeing all this Oregon. Bo Nix, second, third round pick. I mean, I think there were only 9 quarterbacks this season that started week 1, lasted all the way through the season, and ended up starting the entire year. There's going to be opportunity for quarterbacks to get on the field. I've seen stranger things happen. Bo Nix with requisite capital, second round, third round pick, super flex format. You're probably going to want to take a stab on a quarterback, especially one where you can see a world in which his experience leads to him at least getting some opportunity on an NFL field. Back to the wide receiver pool, you've got Tez Walker, who, honestly, he could have been picked much higher than the 210. It just shows you the depth of the class, and if a couple of running backs end up going in the middle of the second round, that's what happens. It's just going to push great talent down the board. So Tez Walker off of the board at 210. We got 2 spots left in the second round, and I just want to list a couple of the names. We still don't have Donovan Edwards, Braylon Allen, Audric Estime, Will Shipley have not come off of the board. Wide receivers, we still have Brendan Rice out of USC, Johnny Wilson out of Florida State. Malachi Corley is a player that I like a lot, and that's who we're going to talk about right here. Malachi Corley looks like Deebo Samuel. I mean, honestly, he is put together. He is physical. He's a dog. Malachi Corley, he's another one we get to watch at the Senior Bowl. Excited to see him. I think he's going to be a day 2 pick and probably be a nice impact player for day 1 for a team. Does it yield immediate fantasy points? I'm not gonna project that, but Corley, you go watch his highlights, you'll come away impressed with Malachi Corley. And here, with the final pick in the second round, man, if you told me Johnny Wilson was going to turn into Darren Waller and move to the tight end position and those hands get a little stickier, I'd be all over that selection right there. He's not on the board. He's not on the board yet, but I do think when it's all said and done, Jalen Polk out of Washington, and I don't even think we've got him in the system yet, just to clear, but I'm going to put him right here. Jalen Polk out of Washington, wide receiver. That's who I think is going to go right here. Polk is a nice, big, physical wide receiver. Played opposite of Odunze, of course, so a lot of the shine was on Rome. A lot of the shine was on Michael Penix. But Jalen Polk, big physical wide receiver, declared, thought he would come back. Think he's going to work his way into that second, third round as well. So some different names on the board to talk about that didn't get selected in the first round. We've had Adonai Mitchell been picked in the first round in a couple of mocks, but second round, 201, Michael Penix, Adonai Mitchell, Xavier Legette, JT Sanders, this is tight end premium, and Blake Corum, the first 5 picks, followed by Trey Benson, Bucky Irving, Ladd McConkey, Bo Nix, it is Superflex, Tez Walker, Malachi Corley, and Jalen Polk out of Washington. There you go. 2 rounds of rookie draft, mock draft, pick talk. A lot of guys left on the board that we didn't discuss. Quarterbacks, you got Spencer Rattler, Michael Pratt, we didn't get to talk about. Running backs, again, Will Shipley, Montrell Johnson, man, Braylon Allen in the 3rd round. If you would have told me that at the beginning of the season, I'd say you're crazy. Brendan Rice, we didn't get to talk about, what's his name? Cody Schrader from Missouri. So it's 24 class. While the running backs at the top, Dylan Johnson, didn't talk about him. Jalen McMillan, Washington, more guys coming out. While the elite running backs are not present in this class, it's deep. And if you can hit on some of these back-end running backs, some of these, some of these 3rd-round wide receivers and players who are going to be available, could be very setting up real nice for us for rookie draft purposes. So there you go. In and out, 20 minutes or less. I knew that. That was the time. I want to get y'all in and out. Appreciate y'all being here, tapping in. We'll be doing this all throughout the offseason. Every single week, rookie draft content does not stop. We got prospect profiles dropping this week. If you stuck around to the end, you found the information actionable, entertaining, subscribe to the channel. Help an independent content creator grow in this YouTube space. And make sure you check out all the content over here on the channel and on DestinationDevy.com. Appreciate y'all all being here tonight. Enjoy. Have a good one. Be safe. It's an Arctic blast out here in Texas. We got to stay warm, baby. But I appreciate y'all. Tap in and wake up. I'm out.